would be all the Kansas fans that are celebrating like they won the national title and beat the number 2 team in the country, when I don't think they beat the number 2 team in the country. That was not the number 2 team in the country. That was not the Baylor Bears last night that showed up in Lawrence, Kansas. I'll give Kansas credit, but all I'm saying is that was not the Baylor team that we saw pre-pause. And
Scott Drew had a perfect quote afterwards. He said, they spent the last 3 weeks getting better. We spent the last 3 weeks getting worse.
Right. I mean, it's true. Like, again, just be honest. And I didn't hear Bill Self after, but my guess is he said something to that effect. If I had to guess, Bill Self didn't say, hey, we beat Baylor at their best. He probably said, hey, we played well, which they did. Don't take anything away from them. But again, don't act like you just beat Baylor at their peak. They weren't. They were coming back. They were still like 5 days off a 3-week pause in which, from what I was told, Rob, 8 guys got hit with COVID on that pause. 8 players on Baylor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very clear that they aren't the team that they were before the shutdown. And I mean, we can reel off stats if you want me to reel off stats. They were shooting 43.9%, best in the country from 3 before the pause. In the last 2 games, they're shooting 28% from 3. They were top 5 in the country in defensive turnover rate at forcing turnovers on 26% of their opponent's possessions. The last 2 games, that number has been 23.4%. They were top 5 in the country in offensive rebounding rate at 38.5%. Heading into the pause. In the last 2 games, they've been at 31%. They're not as crisp defensively. You could see it in their legs. Like the jump shots aren't as falling as easily. They're slower in their rotations. And like so much of Baylor's defense comes down to their ability to rotate and be in the right spot every single time down the floor. And that's just not there right now. And I don't look, you can't take any credit away from Kansas because their game plan was perfect. They executed that game plan to perfection. And they were in complete control for that entire game. It never felt like Kansas was not going to win that game after it tipped off. And that's credit to Kansas. But I mean, that's not like, I don't understand why people are so upset when you can say on the one hand, yes.
Listen, if you're Kansas, you beat a fringe top 25 team yesterday. That's basically what you beat.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, look, the point is, and it could be all of these things. Baylor is not Baylor. Kansas played really, really well, and
Kansas has gotten better. They've gotten better.
Yes. The big thing for me with Kansas is David McCormack's turnaround has been unbelievable.
David McCormack.
Unbelievable. I'll give you credit on that one because he came through. So I ran the numbers a little bit last night, and I got some these numbers are crazy, okay? Let me make sure I have them right. So I'm going to bring them up real quick because I got them on my phone. Prior to league play, there was a point after the first game against Texas Tech, when McCormack was just awful, that he had a usage rate over 30, which is just like exceptionally high, and an offensive rating, and an offensive rating of 75, which is like just atrocious.
He missed every shot. Remember, he was falling away on every single shot, missing everything around the basket.
In league play, his offensive rating is 116. And his usage rate is 28.5. I'm going to put some context on this, okay? Luka Garza's offensive rating is 124.2, and his usage rate is 31. True Timmy's offensive rating is 129.3, and his usage rate is 26.4. Hunter Dickinson's offensive rating is 119.7, and his usage rate is 26. In Big 12 play, David McCormack has been on par with the best 3 big guys in the country when it comes to the offensive efficiency and their ability to create in the post. And combine all of that with the fact that over the course of like the last 7 games on this recent run, Kansas has not given up more than 1.0 points per possession in any of those games. They figure it out. We wanted to know.
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. Anthony's saying excuses. Michigan was fine. They handled it. You're right. Juwan Howard did handle it smarter. He didn't play right away. He waited. He waited 9 days coming off the pause.
There's also a huge difference too. Baylor had players that got sick. Right. Michigan had to go into lockdown because there was a positive in their department.
Right. Yeah. Nobody got hit.
Like, there's
a while. People don't get this. That certain kids, yes, you're asymptomatic and life goes on and you're fine. Other kids, you get hit with COVID. Like I talked to those Baylor kids. Rob, I did that story. Remember, I talked to all of them over Zoom. There were a few of them that looked like they had no energy talking to me. They were flat out gassed. So to me, you've got that, and then you've got the long layoff. And again, some guys come back quicker than others, but it's not apples and apples with every shutdown. So cut the shit.
Yeah, look, that's a very, very important point that we just made there. Baylor, there were 2 shutdowns, right? Baylor was shut down for 2 weeks and then Michigan was shut down for 2 weeks and then had a week to practice and didn't have anyone get sick. Baylor was shut down for 3 weeks, had 2 days to practice to get back into it, and had, like you mentioned, 8 players on their roster get COVID. The difference there, like it's not apples to apples at all. It's not even a comparison, so stop fucking making it. Had to get that out.
Right. Right. It's just stupid. It's like, come on, people. Did you not watch Baylor for the first 2 months of the year? They were clearly, along with Gonzaga, the best teams in the country. And I know Michigan's been great. I'm not taking anything away from them, but don't compare them coming back from Baylor coming back. Also, Baylor played at Kansas. Okay, at Kansas. I get Kansas isn't Kansas. I've said it over and over. It's still playing Lawrence in Lawrence on senior night. Cut the shit.